Alright guys, here is a quick and dirty how-to on how to install a acrylic visor in your Boba Fett Mando helmet. This happens to be my Mando helmet, and I'm going to show you how to bend it. So these things are about a 1/16 inch thick. They're flexible, but they'll only flex so far before they snap, and they will not let you know when they're going to snap. So what I'm going to do is set it right here. Since this gets hot, put you a little buffer piece of material, whatever. Just put a little pressure on there just to see where it, where it starts to flex, and just hold that pressure slightly and start heating. This is just a standard $20–25 heat gun from Lowe's. Basically, you can get the same thing from Walmart. Just keep your heat moving. Don't keep it in one spot too long. The acrylic will warp. It's kind of like a piece of steel or metal. Once you bend it, you put that fold in there, and you can't get out or unfold that fold. It'll always leave that bend in it. So, point is to heat slowly. Keep pressure on it slightly, so that way you'll feel the change in the acrylic when it starts to give. And as you see right now, it's starting to fold down with me not putting any more pressure than I was. So that tells me to move the heat down, keep it uniform. At this point, I'm just wanting to heat the visor enough to place it in the helmet to pre-shape the bend. And then once I do that, I'll heat the visor again, usually while it's in the helmet. And what that allows it to do is conform to all the little high and low spots that the helmet may have in the visor area. My helmets are rotocast or slush cast, which means no two helmets are the same. I've done hundreds, and no matter what you do, the resin, when it starts to kick, it can be in any position. It can be thick or thin. It's almost impossible to make every helmet uniform. Usually the goal is just to keep it from having ridiculously thick spots and thin spots, especially in the visor area, so that way it doesn't look odd when you're looking at the front of the helmet. Reason I wear gloves is to, one, A, not put fingerprints all over the visor, and B, these things get really hot, and this is a great protection. These are like Gorilla Gator gloves at Walmart, $5. And no matter what you do when you're dealing with hot glue, you will hot glue yourself. So these gloves give you a little bit of a barrier between the second and third degree burns and going to the hospital, all that good crap. This is just a quick tutorial. I will do a better video here soon, which will include Boba Fett, which is way more trickier than the little single visor Mando. Just wanted to show you how the heating process goes. You can do it with hot water, I've been told. I haven't tried that yet, but I will be doing it soon, just to give you guys an idea of how that works. So let me turn the camera. So the visor is hot. I'm going to place it in here. You don't want to move it around too much and scratch the visor. Usually once I get it in there, I'll just hold it for a minute. The helmets tend to be pretty cool already, just from household temperatures. Sorry about that. Once I feel like the acrylic has relaxed a little bit, I'll get the glue gun. I'll start with a center bead right here and work my way out to the top. Let that sit, dry, and then I'll take the heat gun and heat the acrylic to help relax any high spots. And while it's still kind of hot, I'll go ahead and put a little bead of glue. Usually only moving about 1 inch or 2 at a time. You don't want to go too far too fast. The glue will travel, and chances are it will travel underneath the visor, which will be in front of the helmet, and you don't want that. So you want to move in small chunks, keeping pressure on it all the time. That way the glue won't travel on you. So right now this will be like kind of a real-time video. I'm not trying to delete or edit any at all, so that way you can kind of see the whole process. This is just a real quick tutorial. I've had a bunch of requests lately on how to do this, so I've just been super busy and have not had the time to do it, so I thought I'd just throw it together real fast. So I apologize for the crudeness, but please keep checking back. The videos should get better. At least that's the plan. I'm not the one with the most patience, so I tend to rush things. So what I'm doing, I'm sorry my hands are in the way, but I'm just applying about a 2-inch bead of caulk on this one. Because it's the top of the visor, there's a pretty good lip, so I don't have to worry about it traveling in front of the visor on this one. Anytime you're doing that, you also too want to try to tilt the visor or the helmet away, so that way the glue will run back away from the inside of the visor instead of running up underneath it. And keep constant pressure on it, that way you can avoid the glue running in front of the visor. And inevitably you're going to put your finger in the glue. It's not a big deal. The glue sticks to the visor, but it doesn't stick to it permanently, at least not in small bits. That's usually easily removed with Windex. Usually once I install the whole visor, you'll have the little streamers where the glue, where you ran a bead of glue, and when you pull it off, it always leaves the little strands. The Windex works great on removing that from the visor. So that's usually the last thing I do. I'll Windex it, clean it up, get it ready to go out. So right now I'm doing the initial bead, which really just holds the visor in place for me to look at it. I'll hold it up to the light, see how much of an area I have to work with. That way I'll know where I need to be really sensitive or careful with the glue as far as traveling. So right now I haven't put any more heat on the visor, but I'm fixing to, but I just wanted to get that bead started so at least it holds it in place. What I like to do now is hold it up to the light, and what that does is it shows you where the edge of the visor is, and it shows you how much working area you have. And this one probably needs to come down a little bit. I put it in a little high. So what I'm going to do is heat it up and slide it down just slightly. It's hard with the camera to try to get the angle just right and install it. Sorry about the noise. So since I've got it heated to melt the glue a little bit to slide the visor down, I'm going ahead and take this time to go ahead and heat the rest of the visor, so that way it'll relax it a little bit more and hopefully seat into the visor opening tighter. Remember not to keep your heat in one spot too long. The helmets are plastic. This one is painted, so you will heat or warp the helmet and or the paint. So always be mindful not to keep it in one area too long. Kind of done it enough now I can look at it and tell when too long is too long. So I started seeing the visor lay down on its own, so that tells me I've got probably enough heat on it for now, at least to do what I needed to do. It's good to every now and then when you're doing this, flip it over and double check to make sure that the glue hasn't traveled underneath the visor, at least as far as being in front. So this is usually the difference on having a visor lens that looks okay and looks really good. It's just applying that heat, getting that acrylic to lay down. I like the acrylic. Once it's heated, it works really well. It is a little tricky though. It will snap on you if you're not careful, but that's usually if you're bending it while it's cold. Once you throw a little heat to it, it really changes the workability to it. Once you get that center done, it usually moves fairly quick. Since I had to reheat the visor, it's gonna make it take a little longer to set. So once again, I think the heat gun is the best way to go. It gives you better access to the visor. As far as using hot water, that would be difficult. You can get a good heat on it the first time, but as you can see, a lot of times you just need to apply that extra heat once it's in the helmet. As it would be, the one I'm filming is the one that's wanting to play hardball with me. That's why it's key to really heat it and heat it thoroughly the first time. So once you put it in there that first time and you're holding it down in there and getting that contour, it really grips it. It gets a good bend to it. I didn't heat it enough, and so it's wanting to kind of flex back into itself. So far it's been about 10-12 minutes doing this. This is where it takes the most time, just getting this initial bead started. Of course, I've had to hit it a couple times with more heat, so that's going to make the setup time longer. I'm just double checking it, making sure it hasn't ran. So I'm gonna hit it some more heat. This one's just not wanting to lay down.